I'm the VP of Product Management here at DQ.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's get this party started. I wanted to start out with a tale of two IT requirements, security and accessibility. So, how many of you in this audience are proactive about digital IT security during your software development lifecycle? Or even if you're not a developer, how many of you care about security in your IT? I'm hoping everybody. And as you think about how security fits into your software development lifecycle, you've got to really make it work. You have a policy, you have monitoring, you have training and tools. And if anyone's developing software, that security requirement is defined at the beginning. It's considered during design, development, and QA and deployment. You don't wait till the end after it's already in production to go, oh, let me see if it's secure. That's not the first time you've thought about it. Well, the cool thing about this, y'all, is I'm assuming you know how to do the IT security thing. That same structure that you use for security is the same type of structure for an accessibility program. And you know how to do this policy monitoring, training, and tools. So let's think for a moment what happens when we're not proactive about IT security or accessibility during the creation of software. Um, how does that make you feel if it's not happening, not planned for, and not tested for until the end? Well, I'll tell you, it makes me think of a dumpster fire where we just pretend it's fine, I'm fine, everything's fine, but really there's a fire and this is bad, bad, bad. An image on screen, little graphic of a dumpster. It's kind of smiling, little green dumpster smiling, but sure enough, completely on fire. So while you're thinking about this, about security and how you can apply accessibility in a similar format and how important it is, let me ask you a question. In chat, can you respond to how much time you think you would need to fix an accessibility issue on a form field? The form field's just not associated with its text label. The text label is right there on the screen. It's just not programmatically associated. So in chat, if you could say, oh, I could do that in under 15 minutes or an hour or 8 or 40 hours or no clue, how much time do you think it would take? And Harris, back before you started with the queue, um, how much time do you think it would take for you? What do you think a general developer answer might be?
Without when I first started, with no accessibility experience, I
Yeah,
probably wouldn't even know what you were talking about.
yeah. So no
But I
clue.
would guess like an hour.
Huh? Uh-huh. Probably an hour doesn't sound too difficult.
Yeah.
I know that sometimes it takes a while for us to see the chat responses. Have we gotten any chat responses yet? Is the audience awake or do they need some Red Bull?
I think the general consensus in the chat is the answer A. Well, I guess you don't have it on the screen. 15 minutes or less.
15 minutes or less. Okay, so what I suspect is we have a delightful audience of really smart developers that thought about what it was going to take for them when they knew exactly where to go and fix it. And that I want to broaden that idea to let's imagine we have to fix the issue. It's more than one line of code for the cost to the company. First, somebody has to find that issue. They have to replicate it to make sure it's real because we don't want to waste a developer's time by reporting something that's not really happening. Then we have to write up the issue. We have to triage and prioritize it and then actually get it on somebody's plate to be done. And then you go fix the code, which might literally take you 15 minutes once you're on the right line. But then somebody's going to have to validate it and make sure, did it really get fixed or did it break something else? and then it has to go into production. So agreed, smart developers, I'm sure you can fix the problem, but it costs more than just the time of you fixing that one line of code when you're on it. And so when we think about this, where do you want to catch your bugs? In the agile life cycle, do you want to catch it in design? I don't know how many designers we have online in the sprint backlog, in the sprint itself, or do you want to wait until we're about to ship or after it's deployed? We all know the longer you wait, the more expensive it is. That surprise testing at the end just jams up the system. You didn't plan to have to go spend extra time fixing bugs. You didn't mean to write inaccessible code in the first place. It just slipped through. And so that reactive testing at the end is more expensive. And many of you might have thought about the cost of an accessibility bug or any kind of bug, security, functionality bug. The longer it takes you to discover, the more it costs your organization. I have a cute little graph here on screen where, during conception or ideation, it's just a little bug. It's so simple to fix. And by the time you wait for release, it may be a bug that's 30 times more expensive to fix. So what we want you to think about is efficiently shifting accessibility testing left, as far left into your cycle. If you're a developer, not a designer, the farthest back you may get is inside your sprint doing proactive accessibility testing, which it's not going to be as cheap as in design, but it's certainly going to be cheaper than if we wait for after we call it shippable or after we deploy it. So with this in mind, I want to hand it over to Sachin and say, hey, Sachin, what do you think it takes to get this testing done?
Excellent. Thank you, Glenda. Can I take the screen share?
Absolutely. Let me stop share.
All right. So this is where we take the car that Glenda has put us on for a spin. What I'll do is I will move us from reactive testing and fixing all the way as far as we can go in the development process, which is in developer control. We'll shift left, and I'll show you at each point of the way how we can actually save time. So let's start with looking at how much time it takes to complete just a small subset of tasks that Glenda shared earlier. How much time it takes to actually get these things done. And I'm going to focus on just the testing and recording of an issue. So this is where someone has reported an issue on the site. Your QA team member is going and testing. And I'll capture the least amount of information possible that a developer requires. Every organization is different. Your organization may require more than what I'm going to capture, but that'll still make the point. The relevant details that I'm going to capture will also include image of the issue with alt text, of course. And I am going to assume in this case that sometimes the development team members don't know how to fix an issue. So the person who's testing also has to provide actual way to fix the issue. So I am going to first show you the issue.
When do I start timing you?
I will tell you.
Okay.
As soon as I can find my window. Okay, Glenda, can you confirm if the edit chocolate cake is coming through?
Yes, I see edit chocolate cake.
Okay, so the specific issue that I'm going to focus on this page is that this first text field, I'm showing on my screen a recipe page with the edit recipe modal open. It has multiple text boxes with possibility to enter what ingredients go into recipes. First text box is focused, and the issue on this specific text box field, as I inspect it, I'm opening the Chrome developer toolbar, and I'm looking at the computed accessibility view of this specific item. The issue is that this text field is not associated with its label, the exact question that Glenda asked you earlier. And the way to test it is I went into the accessibility tree and found out that there's no name. So that's the issue we're going to record for a developer to actually fix. So Glenda, are you ready?
I am ready with my timer.
Let's start timer. And I am going to record these issues in an Excel sheet, simple old sheet. Let's start with the issue summary. The text field for the text field is missing an associated label. That's enough for an issue summary. The developers need a URL, so I'm going to copy and paste the URL. I think it's a critical issue, so I am going to give it the severity of critical. Description is where you need to provide more details. Text field for the first ingredient is missing a programmatically linked label. To fix, provide a programmatic association with the existing label. Within the label tag, add the for attribute linking to the ID of text input field. I think that's sufficient. The developers do like source code, so I'm going to copy and paste the source code from the page itself. We will use Chrome developer toolbars for that. Paste it. Success criteria is 4.1.2. I'm an expert. I know what I'm talking about. Let's take a screenshot. And for that, I'm going to use the good old Windows snipping tool. I'm just copying it from my clipboard, pasting it in the cell, and now I'm going to add the alt text.
Thank you for adding alt text. I know a lot of developers that are blind.
Showing 2 cups white sugar. That's it. Let's stop.
Okay. 2
How
minutes,
did I do?
2 minutes and 45 seconds. Now that was just writing the issue. That wasn't testing for the issue.
Correct. So it took me 2 minutes and 45 seconds just to document an issue. Now let's go to what we have seen in real world. We have done thousands of pages of assessments and audits, which are all WCAG and sometimes even different standards. What we have found in these thousands of pages of assessments is the average number of issues, accessibility issues on a page, hovers somewhere around 30. It can be more, it can be less. Each page is different. We're talking averages here. And the time to test and record each issue comes down to roughly about 5 minutes. So the total time it will take to actually test and just record these issues is somewhere between 2 to 3 hours. It can be even more. It can go up to 4 hours. So that's just the time. What are some of the other challenges? Harris mentioned this earlier. Before he came to DQ, he wouldn't even have known what we're talking about. So in this case, there's a need for your QA team to know what to actually look for, what to test for. And then do the developers know actually how to fix the issue? Really, what it comes down to is you need to be an accessibility expert. So not only is it taking time, it's actually requiring a very specific skill set to be able to do all of this testing. So this is the time when I ask you to channel your inner Freddie Mercury from the famous rock band Queen and start singing, I want it all. And guess what? I want it now. How can you get most of this work done without requiring the expertise and in a much faster way? That's where we shift our focus from doing this manually to doing this in an automated way. What if I told you that you could actually find 57% of these issues by click of a button? You won't need to be an expert to do this, and you will actually be able to get very specific remediation advice, including screenshots sometimes, or even better, in-browser indication of where the issue is. That's where we start moving towards Axe DevTools extension. So now we have just moved a step to the left. Instead of testing this in the QA, a developer who's writing this code and is running this on their local machine, they are able to actually test it before pushing this code, before committing this code to the source code repository. Axe DevTools extension, I'm just going to run the same page in Axe DevTools extension and click on the button, scan all of my page. It took about 3 seconds. And instead of finding that one issue, the extension has found 19 issues. And the one specific issue that I'm talking about, I'm just going to close the total window screen there. The issue that I was talking about is form elements must have labels. I can highlight exactly where the issue is. So I have a pink highlighter on that text field now, showing me exactly where the issue is present. The element is very well described in the extension. It says the issue is ensures every form element has a label. It gives me the element location, and it gives me the source code. It's telling me in source code exactly input class equals field text input, gives me the ID, showing me exactly what is there in the source code. And then you remember when I was typing the description of the issue, I typed one way to address this problem. The extension is giving me a list of 7 possible ways to address this single issue. Now, if I'm a developer, I don't necessarily want to be told how to fix an issue. I just want to know exactly what is the expected behavior. By having these options of 7, I can make the best choice depending on what my code is doing and what the expected behavior is. So that's the power of extension that you can get to. And remember, it is all coming to you on a single click.
Can I ask one more question? If I were so new that none of this made any sense to me, is there more information for me to learn about?
Excellent question. Thank you, Glenda. So one thing that I did not point out, just below where the issue is described, where it says ensures every form element has a label, the extension has a built-in link, which when activated, takes you to a more information page where this specific issue has been fully described. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the right page, and towards the right side, it gives me exactly what the user impact is. And on a scale of minor to critical, this specific issue is critical. It is showing me what disabilities are affected, what standards does this issue get covered in. So this specific issue is a level A issue under WCAG 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, Section 508, Trusted Tester, EN 301549, basically everywhere. And it gives me much more detail, including code examples of how to fix this issue.
Awesome.
Going back to Mr. Mercury. So we have satisfied Mr. Mercury. He's got everything on click of a button. And there are just some screenshots showing exactly the same thing I showed earlier. In comes a certain Professor Lupin from the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. And he's saying, well, that's not good enough, Harry. Not nearly good enough. Why are you waiting to write the code, deploy it, run it on your machine before you can tell that it's wrong. And you have to go all the way back to your code editor. Well, Professor Lupin does teach defense against dark arts. He does have a point. So let's look at how this problem can be actually captured with Axe DevTools linter, another component of the DevTools suite that we have. What I'm showing on my screen is now a simple HTML page in VS Code Editor. The HTML page has code for title. The title is label example. In the body of HTML page, I have two labels right now, ingredient and first name. They are both encapsulated within the label tags and the closing label tags. What I'm going to do now is add a text field. So I'm typing code for input type equals text. And I'll just close it. And immediately, linter is giving me a red squiggly line under the code that I typed. Well, let's look at what this squiggly line is saying. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. The squiggly line says, ensures every form element has a label. The exact same error that we have been focusing on is immediately flagged by linter. It does have the same help built in. So if I activate the help for label from here, it'll take me to the same help page that I showed you earlier. So by reading through that page, I know exactly how to fix this problem. In this case, the problem can be fixed by simply moving the label tag that I want to associate with this input type to after I have completed the input type text. As soon as I do that, the squiggly line goes away. VS Code is happy. We have prevented an accessibility error from ever going into our deployment. Well, let's do one more thing. I'm going to just add one more image. And I'm going to purposefully not fix that as part of what I'm writing in the code. There we go. So I have added code for image. I've given it a src attribute with the path to the file where the image is located. I did not give it any alt text. And the VS Code linter plugin is giving me a warning. It's giving me an error. It's saying ensure image element have an alternate text or a role of none or presentation. I choose not to do anything about it. I am going to actually try to check in this code. I'll try to push this code into my repository.
You are from the dark side.
So let's save my changes. Let's commit. With the message added, label and image. And then let's try to create a PR for this. I'm going to give the PR title request with accessibility issues, because I know it has accessibility issues. Select the branch. Let's submit the PR. While it is doing the magic behind the scenes, what I have done is I have configured Axe linter to also work on my PRs as a GitHub action. So every time I submit a PR, it is going to run a GitHub action to actually check for accessibility of the code that has been pushed in. Let's go look at what's happening with my PR. Well, I'm on GitHub interface now. Again, I'll zoom in so that everyone can see a little better. There's my PR. It's showing that the check for linting has failed. And let's look at the details of this check. Zoom in a little more. And here are the errors. The error says image alt ensures image elements have alternate text or a role of none or presentation. So without doing too much extra effort, in fact, literally no extra effort on my part, I have prevented two accessibility issues from going from my development environment into deployed code or even to the QA. So overall, we have saved a lot of time. And I am not an accessibility expert. Linter is just giving this all to me for free. Going back, oops, went all the way back. I want to go back to Professor Lupin because I have just made him happy. So now Professor Lupin is happy. 57% is good. I can save more than half of the time that my QA team was spending, all the extra cost. But why wait? Why stop at 57%? You can do better. We have done studies that have shown us that by doing a little bit more extra effort during development without having the expertise in accessibility, you can actually get to 80%. This is where you go back to the Axe DevTools extension. So I'll go back to our test page here. This is where IGTs enter the conversation. So Axe DevTools extension, the pro version, has a feature called intelligent guided tests. On my screen, I'm showing the same recipe dashboard page with the Axe DevTools extension open in the developer toolbar. There are two tabs on the extension screen. There's an overview tab and then there's a guided test. We already completed the automated test as part of the initial run that I did. So I'm going to go to guided test. The extension is asking me to save the test with a name. It gave it an automatic name, so I'm okay with that. Let's go ahead. On my screen, I have a list of 7 intelligent guided tests. There's table test, keyboard test, modal dialog, interactive elements, structure, images, and forms. For the purposes of this conversation, I'm going to just do a structure test. So I activate the add or start structure run button on the screen. It's going to walk me through a series of simple yes, no kind of questions. So I don't need to be an accessibility expert. I think I can answer those questions. Let's take a look. It's asking me to put the page in the required testing state, which I'm happy with. So let's start. It's highlighted a few things on the page, and it's asking me these 6 items that are highlighted, they are marked as headings. Do you think any of them should not be headings? And I think there are 4 items in here which should not be headings. The 9 eggs used, recipes made, 10, grease fires 3, and yumminess score of 45 on an average. I don't think they should be headings. So I'm going to say, yes, some of them should not be headings. So it's asking me to select things that should not be headings. So let's select the 4 that I had earlier said should not be headings. Next. Then it's asking me, did we miss any headings? No, the page looks good. The remaining 2 items should be headings. So nope, nothing is missing. The next question it asks me is, does each heading accurately describe the content that immediately follows it? And in this case, I'm happy with what the headings are noted down as. Now the test has moved on from headings to lists. It's identifying 2 lists on the page and is asking me if any of them should not be lists. The first list is the top header portion of the page, and the second list is there's a list of items in the yumminess chart. I think the header should not be a list. So I'm going to say, yes, some of them should not be lists. And the same order of operations, it'll ask me which one should not be a list. Let's select the one which represents the header. And every step of the way, the tool is actually showing me on the screen what I have selected. Did we miss any lists is the next question. Nope, everything is good. Nothing was missed. Are there any additional sections of content which differ from page-wide language? Nope, entire page is in English. So I'm going to say no. Next question it asks me is the page title is document title. Does it accurately describe the purpose of the page? And in this case, the title is actually very uninformative. So I'm going to say no, it does not describe the purpose of the page.
For anyone who can't see, the title of the page is Document Title.
Very intuitive title I did as part of creation of this bad page. So now the structure IGT has completed. It's showing me structure test results. Issues found 6, time testing 2 minutes. It took me 2 minutes to find 6 issues that would have required manual verification by an expert who knew what to test for, how to test for it, and actually code those issues. In so that the developer could actually fix them. And this is where the magic happens. The tool has actually taken screenshots of those issues. I will show you one of the issue that was reported. I'm showing the issue on my screen, which is content is not a list. Remember that heading that we marked as should not be a list. The tool captured the element location, so actually exact source code, the type of tag. It also has a screenshot of which item was identified having issue. And then again, very detailed information on how to fix the issue. So by doing these kind of tests with the right tool, in the development stage itself, you can easily get to 80%, more than 80%, because one of the things I have not talked about so far is on the extension itself. The extension has identified 11 elements which may require manual review, but the extension itself has computer vision and machine learning models built in. So if I want, I can actually do further verification on these just by activating that control. The system is going through these 11 items and doing some more computer vision based analysis. And just like that, it said, oh, out of those 11 items that required manual review, only 3 now require review. The others I checked and they're fine. The reason why it's an option for you is because sometimes because of security requirements, that kind of analysis is not possible, or it does take a little bit of more time, and sometimes that is at a premium. So with the right tools, you can actually get to 80% or more of accessibility violations that can be found. So again, a summary of what intelligent guided tests are available. There's a table, keyboard, modal dialog, interactive elements, structure, images, forms. I'll quickly flash on my screen what each of these actually cover for. The slides will be available for you after the session as well, so I'm not going to read through all of this information. This is all reference material that's available to you. With that, I'm going to hand it back over to you, Glenda.
Awesome. I am going to see if I can grab screen share real quickly and give you a little bit of background for how we're coming up with these numbers. So at DeQ, we do manual audits and use automated tools when appropriate for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients every year. And we're sitting on a database of all of those audits. And so Sachin helped me get access to that big data where our experts did WCAG comprehensive reviews for new clients. And from that, we discovered that it really was that the number of issues by volume, 57.38% of issues that our experts found were found with Axe Core automation. That's a huge lift. And this is not a made-up number. It's not a theoretical number. This is real clients. And we chose new clients because that's giving you a sense of when the client has not used any of this testing tools before. And so this is the possibility for a new client. And then on the additional intelligent guided testing, we came up with 23.01%. And so when we say the issues found can get you up to 80.39%, it's not 80% coverage of WCAG because That extra 20% is a lot of different success criteria that you need to test for, but by volume, it really is 80% of the volume of issues that we're seeing in our real world client work. So, you developers, you have a lot of things to do. I bet your backlogs are big and have gorgeous things that you could use your brains to be working on to create new features and functionality. What I hope is that you'll consider moving accessibility left so that you can use your time wisely to stop those bugs during the dev phase when they're only maybe 1 to 3 times as expensive to stop, as opposed to letting them float into QA where they can be 12 times more expensive to fix, or all the way out into production, which is 30 times by an IBM research project. So showing on screen is a chart explaining that IBM's research that when you wait and let a bug go all the way out into production, it's 30 times more expensive to fix on average than if you fixed it in design. And we've also looked at research. It's why we care so much in our products, whether it's the Axe Core automation or the intelligent guided testing tool, that we are against any false positives, because you developers, you need to focus on fixing things that are real, not false positives. And false positives, unfortunately, that can be found in other tools that don't take as much care can increase your cost by over 386%. So as you're doing your work and using your precious time and energy to build meaningful software, I hope that you have the right tools for the job. I'm showing on screen an image of a man trying to dig with a shovel. And let's imagine he's trying to dig out the foundation hole for a high rise. This is not a good use of your energy or your time. You were meant to do something more. So over on the right, I have a picture of a large construction vehicle digging out the tool. I want you to think of things like Axe Dev Tools, Axe Core, and intelligent guided testing as the right tool that lets you use your energy and time wisely. So with that, Harris, I think we're open to questions.
All right. That was amazing, guys. Well done on the talk. Well done on the switching out of interpreters, and well done to everyone in the chat. That was probably one of the more fun chats I've been a part of. And in fact, I think we formed a cult, apparently, according to Faye. So let's start with the most popular question. Glenda, Sachin, I actually don't have the answer offhand if there is a good answer, but everyone's loving the shirts that you guys are both wearing. It's cute and it's matching. And they're asking how they can get one of those awesome t-shirts.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to describe what the shirt says.
Yes.
Friends don't let friends ship inaccessible code. These are a limited release shirt. We don't have any. Lots of people want them. What I'll suggest is when you fill out your survey, you can get a digital equality shirt if you're one of the lucky winners of, I think it's 1,000 or 2,000 we're giving away. In the survey, ask them to give these away soon. So we just don't have them in print. These are a previous print of the t-shirt.
I had to fight my way to get one.
I think I have one. I'm definitely going to have to find it and wear it tomorrow because it'll give me street cred with all these wonderful
street cred.
Cool. We had a number of questions I'm trying to answer in text form, but I'll just verbalize those answers as well. Someone said they noticed that the Firefox extension doesn't have the IGTs like Chrome does, and they're wondering if that's intentional. Yeah, unfortunately, due to lack of API support with various things that we do, as far as the more sophisticated features in the extension, we can't actually use Firefox to drive the browser to do automatic tabbing through the page like we do in the keyboard IGT. So Firefox at the moment is just the wonderful free features like scanning the page, highlighting it, viewing that remediation info that Sachin showed. So stay tuned. If any of that changes with Firefox, if anyone from Mozilla is here, supporting more of the web extension API and the Chrome DevTools protocol would help us there. And so that answers that. So let's go to a real question for, if I can get Pubble to load. Someone said part of their role is to create role-specific guidelines for their developers. What are some major considerations I should advise them on during early development?
I think that Sachin really showed where I would start, and that is get your group the training and the tools that they need so that they can stop the easy bugs. Using Axe DevTools is a great place, but I'd like you to roll it back and use the linter and roll it back even further where when they're doing a pull request to merge into GitHub, that you're actually stopping the issues there. That's one of my favorite ways to get started. Sachin, Harris, what are your thoughts?
My experience on this has been the more we can offload the heavy thinking part to the tool, the more traction it gets in the community. Knowledge automatically builds as you're using the tool because, the development group is a smart group. When an error is flagged, they're not going to ignore it. They're going to read what it says, and it'll actually prevent them from making those same mistakes again itself, right? I made some very silly mistakes in the code I wrote. I purposefully did so. But the next time I'm going to write that code, I will remember, well, VS Code shouted at me when I was writing that input type text code. I need to give it a form ID association. So the best way to teach is the more you can offload that work to a tool for developers to do the job that the tool will do for them, the easier it is to actually get buy-in from the community to actually build the right code.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add there is meet developers where they're at or like what they like doing. So get them stoked on incorporating accessibility automation into their CI/CD pipeline. They get excited about automating things that would otherwise have to be manually done. But also just describing the why I think will help developers, get behind making these accessibility practices like part of their everyday process.
I'm glad you said that, Harris, because I think that developers, they remind me a little bit of gamers. A lot of developers are gamers, and we like to do things with epic meaning. Well, accessibility has epic meaning, right? So you're breaking down barriers for people to have equal access to what they deserve. And so we do offer an accessibility awareness lab that's a really fantastic hands-on experience for people to understand the why. So that's way outside tooling. That's more of the why do I care?
Absolutely. The next question, I hope my connection is not as unstable as I think it might be.
I can hear you.
The next question is, can linter handle attributes added via JavaScript? For instance, alt text that may be added via JavaScript in a web component before rendering. And I'm happy to answer that if need be.
Well, you are the expert in this domain, so perhaps you should be the one answering this.
Our moderator is kind of the heartbeat of some of these products. Go Harris.
Okay, the answer unfortunately is no. Linter only has knowledge of the component that it's being sent. You can really think of it as essentially a server endpoint that accepts arbitrary snippets of code. It has no idea how they're going to be rendered in the browser. So if there is some third-party script or some scripting that's taking place outside of what you're exposing linter to, it doesn't get some holistic view, and it really can't. So you would not be able to flag those kinds of issues. Like it would potentially falsely flag those as issues if you did have some other JavaScript file that was querying for that element and programmatically setting an alt attribute. So that is a limitation, obviously. And another example to drive that point home is if I'm linting my React component, we're not going to get color contrast checks because Linter has no idea what that's going to end up being rendered in the browser. It doesn't know if there's CSS files that haven't been imported in this specific component that will override styles that it even has been exposed to. So there are limitations to what a linter can do in general, and you can think of Axe linter as essentially a subset of Axe core. It can only do certain things, but it is super useful to get your wrist slapped as you're typing out code. Like I've been in accessibility for over a decade. I've contributed to ARIA. I know accessibility very well, but I find myself, making mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. I'm a human, and Linter still yells at me. I use it every day. Love the tool.
Thank you for doing my job.
And I'll give you one that I can't answer very well. How about this? To what extent can these techniques be applied to native mobile app accessibility testing? I'm not a mobile expert.
So what I showed today was very specific to HTML. However, the linter portion that I showed you, that does apply to some extent to the mobile app code that you're writing as well. So there's the React linter component that we have that can be applied. Of course, the coverage that we have for mobile components is not as detailed as it is for HTML components. We're continuing to work on that. Our goal is to get to 100% as soon as we can with automation. Not quite there yet. But yes, the linter component does apply to the native mobile app testing as well.
I want to unpack something that you just said, Sachin, about trying to get to 100%. When I first joined DQ in February of 2011, and I heard the vision of getting to 100% coverage with tools, I was like, no way, that's not possible. That's not feasible. But dreamers dream, right? And with the advent of artificial intelligence, we're not near 100% right now, but we can dream and push for that. So it is still to this day, you need to do manual testing. That last 20% of the road is important to do. There can be critical blockers in there, but know that people like Harris and Sachin and Dylan Barrel are pushing the boundaries forward so that developers can focus on writing the functions and not spending a ton of time doing accessibility testing and still making it accessible.
Right. And I think we have time for one last quick question that I think I would fail the DQ pop quiz because I should know this and actually attended a session that covered this. But I have a terrible memory. So maybe Sachin and Glenna can help me out here. Is linter only for VS Code? I know we were adding support for something else. I can't remember what that was. JetBrains or IntelliJ
We
or something.
announced support for IntelliJ yesterday. The free plugin is only for VS Code. IntelliJ plugin is not free. You'll have to request that using the sign up page or through the salesperson if you have one who is reaching out to you, or just contact us form through our website. The IntelliJ plugin is not available for free download yet. You'll have to ask us for it. But yes, as of yesterday, we support VS Code as well as IntelliJ.
Hooray.
Hooray!
I think that's all we have time for.